Greetings comrades, my name is Gigantles, and in this week's video I'm going to cover two topics. So firstly, it's the intersection of knowledge, as I call it, between multiple fields of sciences and studies based around my continued research into Catholicism. And what I mean by that is how I mentioned this in an earlier video about how the more I try to understand about Catholic teachings on theology and aspects of the Bible, the more important I found it to also at the same time research philosophy. And in turn, philosophy, which is meant to be the father of science, understanding philosophy helps me understand more about science. And it's like when I try and do my research for my videos or my posts, and I keep reading new information, it's constantly like small things of enlightenment for me, in which I'm reading something and I go, okay, now that makes perfect sense. And it's a bit hard to describe it sometimes, but it definitely makes me glad that I'm a Catholic and that I have availability to such resources, so that I don't just gullibly believe everything I hear or I read about. I try and look into it in deeper detail, and when I read that detail, it makes perfect sense to me. And that's one of the reasons why I have such a strong faith in Catholicism. It's not because I just simply know a lot of stuff about it. It's because I know that the answers are there, even if I just don't know them at the time. And that's ultimately what it means to have faith in something. It's not that you blindly believe something. It's you know enough about something that you can put your trust in it, so that you can, or rather, you know enough about something that you can continue to put your trust in it. Like with God, if you put your faith in God, you don't necessarily need to have proof for his existence every day. You just need a little bit of proof, and you know that's enough to know he exists, and you don't need to have a constant reminders of him. I hope I explained that well. But as I said, this is a result of me looking at multiple fields of sciences and studies and seeing how they all interact with each other and come together to form final conclusions that I think, this makes a lot of sense. How did I not notice this earlier? But it also makes me glad that I'm able to understand such things now, because when I was younger, not only was I never really into Catholicism, like that only really happened when I started university, I never really had any formal teaching in Catholicism by a priest or teacher or nun or whatever. So it's all really been my own research, and me, which is typically me looking up specific refutations for arguments I see on social media, or me going onto Catholic Answers' latest article. So maybe I wouldn't have been able to understand such information, which would have probably been quite complex for me when I was younger. So even though it definitely would have made things a bit easier for me if I had been taught all this stuff years ago, I'm still glad that I'm able to come across such information now, and instead of being discouraged because it's complex or hard to define necessarily, I'm able to understand it better now because I've managed to build up a foundation of research. And even outside of Catholicism, like when I was trying to do my dissertation for volcanology, I was studying various aspects of geology and physics and stuff, and seeing how they all interacted to form I hesitate to call it a final graph, but when I looked at all the information that I had obtained from analyzing rock samples, I was able to put it onto a single graph, and from that one graph, I was able to draw multiple conclusions just by looking at it, and I thought, this all makes a lot of sense now. And so there was that moment of enlightenment, realizing, wow, it's all right there, isn't it? Hopefully you guys all experience such moments of enlightenment yourself. It's a reward in itself, really. And the second thing I'm going to cover in this video is problems I've had with narration, because for the last couple of months, I've been having people in my comments on YouTube asking me to do narrated videos because they don't want to simply sit there and read page after page of text, or the video's going by too slowly, and I understand that. Especially because when I try and make those non-narrated videos, the way in Movie Studio Platinum 14, which is what I have, when I put a text event in it and then stretch it out to cover a specific period of time, I typically read quite fast. So I have it last as long as I can read, and then I add a few extra seconds onto it. So people who are slower than me can hopefully read it all before it moves on to the next piece of text. But the problem I've had with narration, as I mentioned previously, is that for some reason, a lot of my older videos with narration, my voice is quite quiet in them. And I found out that that was because when I tried editing those videos, I never turned up the audio of my narration loud enough. So I was very quiet. And a couple of people have been asking me to do narrated videos again. And so I thought, okay, well, when I finish my dissertation, I'll try that again. The problem is that I have tried doing narration once more, but it's not worked out. Last night, I tried narrating a video that I want to do for my channel. I've actually narrated it once before already. It's a two-part series. I'll tell you about it. When I make the video, I'll let you know which one it is. But it's meant to be a two-part series, and I actually recorded the narration for that a couple of years ago, but I never got around to editing it because of various projects and stuff. And so I thought, well, maybe my narration skills have improved since then. I don't want to use this old content anymore because it wasn't very good compared to what I could potentially make it. So I recorded myself last night trying to produce just one video's worth of content. But the problem was that for some reason I can't narrate a video. So I'm sitting there and I have the script in front of... Okay, the sun's come out, my face is glowing. So I'm sitting there in front of my computer and I have my script in front of me. It's not word for word, it's a bunch of notes. And I'm trying to read from it into my microphone. And for some reason, I can't put together more than a few sentences at a time without me stumbling over my words, or me thinking I mispronounced something, or me sometimes forgetting what I just said because I'm looking on my computer trying to go to the next image and describe what I see. And after like an hour or so of trying to record the same first 5 minutes of the video, I just stopped. So it's unfortunate. I do try to narrate my videos. I tried to narrate my videos. I tried to narrate my video yesterday, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. And even before, when I was still doing narrated videos, I produced loads of content. I have all of my church councils in a nutshells videos, all the way from... What was the last one I did? Nicaea 2? I recorded them all from Jerusalem up to Vatican II, and so that's 22 church councils. I had them all recorded, but I didn't like how much I would have to edit it and how I sounded in the finalized clip for me to continue narrating them in the first place. Okay, that's why I stopped narrating my videos. I just didn't sound very professional and thought that it would ultimately undermine the video itself if people were just trying to listen, straining themselves, trying to listen to me. And it also took a huge amount of time. As I said, when I tried recording my video last night, I tried to record the same first 5 minutes of in that entire hour because I kept stumbling over myself. And even if I didn't try and say the first 5 minutes without a single error, if I was to take the entire audio clip and then start snipping out problematic parts of it, so a long pause or me stumbling over myself, it would take a huge amount of time to edit that video. I can't remember which one it was, but when I used to do my Gigantles theories about holidays like Christmas and Halloween, I would sometimes record something for like an hour, and by the time I was finished removing me repeating myself and audio problems or me stumbling over my words, I would reduce that hour down to maybe 20 minutes. And that takes a huge amount of time to edit, which I have more free time when it comes to editing now, but it's still ultimately a waste of time. So, unfortunately, guys, I'm still going to struggle when it comes to narrating videos. I'm going to put a pause on narrations again. Maybe I can work on my speech skills and put together something that, because maybe I sound better when I'm doing a video like this, which is quite spontaneous, but a video as complicated as what I want to do, especially if I'm reading canon after canon from ecumenical councils. That's not spontaneous, and I can't just remember that off the top of my head. I have to read it, but when I try and read something, that's when I start messing up. So if I do narrated videos, it's not going to be anytime soon. I need to improve my speech skills first, and I'll still produce content. Just please understand that I'm not producing narrated content because I want to bore you guys to death with non-narrated videos and huge chunks of text. It's because what I can produce with what I can teach you in a narrated video isn't up to the standard I can teach you in a non-narrated video. Maybe one day in a couple of years' time, my speech skills will have improved and I'll be able to produce proper narrated videos like most apologists out there. But otherwise, that's it for this video. So, getting moments of enlightenment when it comes to research and seeing how multiple fields of study intersect is, with Catholicism, which is quite deep in information and knowledge, it's a continuous stream of enlightenment, and makes me glad that I'm Catholic, and that even if I don't have all the answers at the time, I know that I can find them if I just do more research. And I try narrating videos again, but unfortunately they don't come out very well. So I'll continue producing non-narrated content until I can hopefully improve my speech skills and produce narrative videos once more. So otherwise, have a good weekend, all of you. God bless you all. See you in the next video, comrades. Until then.